eternal ability to represent himself, his knowledge, and then out of his fadl, okay, allow human beings to learn that. Allama, obviously, Allah is teaching. Who's He teaching? Allama al-Quran, He teaches the Quran. So that's one maf'ul for those of you who know some Arabic. And the second maf'ul is who? An-nas, or people, or whoever, the khalq. Yes, Allah is teaching others. So the divine grace and the divine word, when it comes upon a human being, that is pure ecstasy. That Allah gives the human being the ability to understand the divine word, which is eternal. So how do you get something eternal into something that's mortal? That is through the process of Rahmaniyah. Allah's Rahmah comes down onto the human intellect and then allows the human intellect to process and then to receive and understand and then teach the divine word, which is a miracle in of itself. Okay, so in Allah's, as you see, خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. So there you go. Now, a part of Allah's immense rahmah is that He creates man. He creates man and then teaches him expression. Allah teaches man expression in so many different ways at so many different levels. So now you have emotion. Allah teaches you how to express emotion. You have feelings. Allah teaches you how to express feelings. You have a desire. Now you're hungry. Allah teaches you expression of hunger. You have needs. Allah teaches you how to express needs. Okay, you have an appetite. Allah shows you how to express your appetite. You want to wear clothing. So Allah shows you how to express your desire to wear good clothing. Where is the ni'mah? You have beauty. So Allah shows you how to express your beauty. And you have this faculty and that faculty. You have intelligence. Allah shows you how to express your intelligence. And all of that. The human being is all about expression. The ability to now bring out what you have inside of you. And how is that process? Through education and through the divine word and through ta'lim and tarbiyat and so on. Okay. You have the ability to build big buildings. So Allah will show you how to express that ability. Yeah? Yeah. You have the ability to jump up and down and be an athlete. So Allah will show you how to express that athleticism. That's an expression, bayan. That's all bayan. Bayan doesn't just mean words. Any form of expression that brings out the inner into the outer is bayan. This is Allah's rahmah, where animals can't do that or they don't do that. The trees don't do that. Mountains don't do that. The sun, the moon, the earth, they don't do that. They're just there as props in the universe for your benefit. And so, but the human being is actively engaged in a process of ta'lim. What is ta'lim? Teaching others, informing others, showing others. Yeah. So when you're hungry and you tell your mother you're hungry, that's an expression. That's bayan. It's a ni'mah from Allah that you can do that. I mean, alhamdulillah, you're not paralyzed. So you can speak and you can talk and you can do this, that. So all the inner needs of the human being are expressed in some way, shape, or form. And Allah then gives you the ability to express that. And the Sunnah gives you the methodology by which you can express that. Okay. You have the ability to be patient. Allah gives you the ability to express your patience. And so on. You get angry, so Allah gives you the ability to express your anger. The Sunnah then defines how you do that. Yeah, so Allah's divine ni'mah for the human being is to enable the human being to express himself in every way, shape, and form. That's his Rahmaniyah. So it's inner. Okay? So Rahmaniyah is not limited to that we're going to protect you from evil or something. That's another form of Rahman, no doubt. But it's not what the Quran is saying here. So the inner conscious and the inner ability of the human being to feel, to realize, to express, to imagine, to intuit, okay, to understand All of that is now part of the bayan that Allah teaches man. خلق الإنسان, Allah creates man, علمه البيان, teaches him bayan, expression. But that expression is not limited to words only. It could be through other ways. And that it manifests itself in your culture, in your behavior, through your buildings, through your clothing, through your food, through your hygiene, through your worship, and through your, discussions with yourselves, to represent yourselves, to govern, and to do all of that. These are all expressions of the Rahman. So the Rahmaniyya of Allah is now creating a civilization that recognizes that the ability to express is the greatest gift that Allah has given us. So you must come to terms with that. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, this is how you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying this. He is the Rahman and He teaches the Quran. What is the Quran? The Quran is the expression of Allah's knowledge. What is Allah's knowledge? Everything you'll see in this surah. It's all Allah's knowledge. Yeah. And then the human being replicates Allah as a Khalifa. He now copies the Rahman in expressing everything. Obviously, with Jamal, with beauty, according to the Sharia, according to the Sunnah. And so he can also express himself in the wrong way. He can be a beast, basically. The human being can be a beast in his expression. He can prey on others, he can kill others, he can rob others, he can cheat others, he can rape people, God forbid, and he can be drunk and he can do this, and that. That's another form of expression, but that expression is haram. Okay. So the Rahman will give you the ability to express through halal, not through haram. Even though that's an expression also, but it's not something Allah likes. The Rahman doesn't like that. The Rahman is composed, he's compassionate, he's organized, and everything else. So here, the human being must acknowledge his inability to express without divine favor. If you have divine favor, you can express yourself. If you don't have divine favor, you will express yourself, but it won't be a divine favor. It'll be something that leads you to Jahannam. Yeah. Now Allah is expressing His creation. Number one, have a look at this. الشمس والقمر بحسبان. Okay, the sun and the moon, they're fixed بحسبان. They're with some hisab and with some, what do you call it, calculation. And I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows the sun to move, allows the moon to move, allows them to orbit, allows the sun to give off light and heat, and allows the moon to regulate your seasons and everything else. This is a huge ni'mah where if you didn't have the ability to exist in time, you would not exist. So the creation of time through the sun and the moon is a huge ni'mah. So who is in control of this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is measured, it is fixed. And because it is measured and fixed, you can plan your day, you can plan your activities, you can plan your seasons, you can plan your year. And so, but if that goes out of whack, then you can't do anything. So Allah's now expression of time is a ni'mah for all people who benefit from the sun and the moon. So this is now an ayah of beauty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So that's the celestial favor Allah gives you, and the terrestrial favor Allah gives you. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ is that the plant that is rootless and the plant that has roots, both are in compliance with the hisab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yasjudan, they make sajda. They comply with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Najm, although most people might say it means the star, there is a relationship there. But najm here, it means plants that don't have any roots and they just grow on top of the earth. And so, but shajar is something that has a root. Okay, just in case. Yeah, so they both are compliant. They now feed off the sun and the moon, and then they deliver something that the ground there is now a means for rahmah, a means for your food and fodder and everything else that needs to be and now enjoyed, consumed by human beings, is through Allah's inviolable now, law, the law of physics that you all understand. MashaAllah. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ. And then the sky, Allah has raised it, and then Allah has placed and lowered the mizan, the balance. Yeah. So rafa'a and wada'a. Wada'a is the opposite of rafa'a. Rafa'a means to raise. So Allah has raised the heavens and the sky, that is now a canopy over you, is a shade over you, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects the earth with the sky. وَجَعَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ سَقْفًا مَحْفُوظًا, that we made the sky a roof for you that is protected. Yeah, so that's Allah's fadl on you. Think about now the sky, and you'll see that we have a sky, but there's no pillar in the sky. How is the sky upheld? Imagine a house with a roof, but there's no pillar upon which the roof rests. Okay. So you guys will do your physics and say, no, it's this way, okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, the truth is Allah is the one who keeps it there. Yeah. Inna Allah yumsiku samawati wal arda an tazula. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He keeps the heavens and the earth from moving. Yeah. If He was to give an order, hey, I want you to move this way, then that's it. Qiyamah will come, basically. So think about the ni'mah. Allah's Rahmaniyya is shown to all of mankind by placing the sky as a roof. So that's a ni'mah, that's an expression of His compassion to all human beings, so human beings can perform and do what they need to do on earth and acquire their Jannah, inshallah, while they are on earth, and so on. Well, the Al-Mizan, the Mizan refers to justice, basically balance, the balance scales, that there has to be law and order, and that there can be no expression of violence or injustice in Allah's dominion, and human beings must be the custodians of that, and then protect themselves and other people from violation and from dhulm and from injustice, which is another sign of the Rahman, that the Rahman now will give certain people the ability to now do some, what you call, balancing. Yeah, checks and balances, we say, right? Balances, they're necessary. But it's through the human convention. So the human being as a species must see this as a divine order in the terms of taqween, and they do. And they process it by saying, we have to be now the stewards and the custodians of Allah's adl, Allah's justice on earth. So we will now place the mizan, the balance scales, where it's accessible to us. The sama, the sky, is not accessible to us, it's over there. Wad al mizan, that lowering the balance, it is easily accessible. So human beings, through their thinking, through their organization, through their government, and through their governance, is able to establish a sense of balance, a sense of justice, where they don't kill each other, and so on. So that is up to the human being to do that. So-called world leaders must now do what they need to do in order to prevent human beings from enacting injustice against each other at the macro level and also at the micro level. Okay? So there should be no injustice legally, there should be no injustice morally, there should be no injustice Islamically. For the Muslim, this is a challenge. Allah is now saying that if you want my rahmah to be manifested on earth, then you have to make sure you are the custodians of justice. You are the stewards of justice. You must now organize yourself in such a way that there is no injustice, either through your speech, your behavior, your actions, or through your tools and rules of government. Okay, so that whether it's a khilafah, whether it's whatever it is, it doesn't matter which form of government you have, but you are responsible as a species, you are responsible. So you have to develop and create schools, organizations, and social conventions where you do not insinuate that you want to be unjust. And so it's a huge order for the species as a whole, not to one individual. one individual cannot be responsible for this unless he has a backing from his people. And so there should be no organization, a khilafah, and all of that, where you're now representing Allah as a caretaker, as a steward for Allah's mizan. The mizan is the balance scale. Well, you have to think about it. So, man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi is part of that now duty. If any one of you sees something wrong, then you should try to change it with your hands, with your tongue, or at least with your heart. Okay? That is your stewardship. That is necessary. It's a fard ayn on every human being to, what do you call it, discredit sin and to talk against injustice wherever it is, however it is. Right? Yeah, so there is a meaning, especially that which is sinful and a moral injustice where you're violating the rights of other creation of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not violate the right of anything He creates. He is Rahman. He gives His rahmah, a stamp of rahmah to everything He creates. Everything He creates is out of pure rahmah. Whether it's a snake or the devil, it doesn't matter. The fact that Allah creates that is a sign of His rahmah. How do you negotiate that? That you negotiate through the sunnah of the Rasul, who is now the mizan in perfection, par excellence. Who is the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He is a manifestation of pure justice, pure adl. So you follow him, you follow his methodology, and you follow his rulings, etc. That is how you deal with the Rahmaniyya of the Rahman in terms of your moral order, your legal order, and whichever transaction you want to go through. There has to be justice expressed. No injustice can or should be tolerated. That is how you as a species will be manifesting Allah's Rahmaniyya. So Allah's Rahmaniyya is this way. It's not just about, as I said, that if somebody's being punished or wrong, then you save that person. Yes, you do. But you need to make sure you have a system in place where no one is punished or no one is unjustly treated or something. That's the system. So that's the tall order. How do you do that? You need someone to copy. Who do you copy? You copy the best human being, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that way is two ways. One is at the individual level, one is at the societal level. You won't be able to do it at the societal level until you have an organization, a government, a governance, or a khalifa, or someone who's there to administer all of these things with his committees and with his cabinet, basically. So that you must do at the individual level. Make sure that your Rahmaniyya seeps into the people who are underneath you, your family, your children, everybody who is now you're taking care of. They must see the Rahmaniyya flow through you in the way you treat them, in the way you feed them, in the way you get them clothing, food, clothing, shelter, in the way you patronize them, in the way you protect them, in the way you deal with them, in the way you make them happy and comfortable. So that's your ability to open up you to the word of the Rahman. The word of the Rahman is pure beneficence, pure benefit, nothing except benefit. So that then you are the individual custodian. You're not the custodian in society yet, but you should work towards that also. So there, then you follow the norms of the Rahman. What is that? Allama. The Rahman teaches. So the great is Rahmah that you can show on your children or your family is you must provide some good education, some good moral upbringing, as the Prophet said that your children have a right on you, and your duty towards your children is to teach them good ethics and good morals, adab. If you haven't done that and you stuck them into an educational academic program where they get, A++++, eventually get 1600 on their SAT scores and they go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, but you never taught them any manners, then both you and your children are failures. There's no Rahmaniyya there. The Rahman will teach you life order, moral behavior, akhlaq, ethics and morals, how you behave with yourself, how you behave with other human beings, how you fulfill the rights and duties of other human beings. That is what the father should teach the children. The Prophet ﷺ said, it's not your duty to teach your children how to pass the SAT. I mean, it's a good thing. We're not saying don't do it, do it, but don't neglect their behavior. Then you have to discipline them. Then you have to be sometimes strict, sometimes soft. You have to get them to love you, love the Rasul, love Islam, etc. So that is part of وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ. This is the balance. So it's not high and lofty that you want to talk about khilafah. There is other forms of khilafah you need to administer at home first, at a micro level. Then you can think about the macro level, which is mentioned in the Quran too, in Surah Shura, etc., which we have done. وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ. Here the order now comes. Allah's now knowledge is so compassionate that He's going to tell you to do a few things. Instruction, Al-Amir, the one who instructs and orders, is part of Allah's Rahmah. So Allah tells us to do things. Of course, because He loves you. He's telling you because He doesn't want you to go to hell. He doesn't want you to fall into the pits of ignorance and injustice. That's why He's telling you. So He's the Amir, the one who gives orders. And now here He's given a specific order. Okay, this is great, that the sky is there and the earth is here, the sun, the moon, they work in sync and everything else. But what's the order for you? What should you do? وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ. You must maintain the weight with justice, with equity. قِيمُوا. Establish the wazn, establish the weight of the Rahmān, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to conduct yourself by having rules and laws that are now going to maintain the balance, maintain the mizan, maintain your justice. So you must come up with a system of rules and government, which alhamdulillah Allah has done for us through the Quran and Sunnah itself, and then through the ijtihad of the ulama, where no Islamic rule or ideal is based on injustice. You won't find a single rule in Islam that is unjust. It's all just through the justice system of justice. You'll see how Allah's now. So now what you do, you establish that, meaning when you're in government, make sure you implement that and you bring it down to earth, and so you make it easily accessible to people. And so the idea of law is not just that you have rules and there is in some document, a constitution, or in the books of law. The idea is to facilitate the practice of that law. How do you facilitate the practice of a law? You have to make sure the ambiance is there, the props are there. You have to make sure that the infrastructure is there, right? So if you want people to come, mashallah, to the masjid, and there's no infrastructure in the masjid, and say people are not coming to the masjid. Why are they not coming to the masjid? There's no infrastructure. You don't have a place to pray, and the floor mats that you have, they stink. There's no real place to make wudu. Your bathrooms are horrible, and all of that. So the ambiance really matters. The infrastructure matters. So waqimu, that means you're responsible to maintain the infrastructure. It's not just the ideal. People must come for Jamaat and that's it. Okay, but you should entice them. You should encourage them. You should enable them to do Islam through the Sunnah. Make it easy for them. That's your responsibility as now trustees and as the people who are taking care of the Ummah. So it's not just yassiru wa la tu'assiru. It's a command for the rulers, a command for the qudat, the judges, wherever the Prophet sent the judges, like Mu'adh ibn Jabal and Abu Musa Ashari and others, Ali radiallahu anhu. The command was also make it easy for them to practice Islam. Don't make Islam inaccessible. I'm going to build a masjid, but I'm going to build a masjid on top of the mountain. Who's going to come to the top of the mountain? Really? There might be funny for you, but it's actually what happens with board members and community members who don't know how to facilitate prayer for people. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't seem to care whether it's easy for people to come or difficult for people to come. And then you have to make sure that if there's snow there, you have to remove the snow. You have to facilitate that. Yeah? That's your job. So aqimu is saying that don't pass on the buck to other people. You establish it. Meaning everything should be easily accessible if you're going to see the Rahmaniyya of the Rahman. Okay, so you make yourself a receptacle of Allah's rahmah, and you do this, you establish now law and order, and you establish the ease by which if you need people to pay zakat, make it easy for them to pay zakat, etc. So this is the rule for people who are organizing, that they have to consider infrastructures that make it easy, and they establish the system, and they establish the wazan, basically the weight. It is a wazan because it's a weight on you, it's a responsibility, but that you have to do. Allah tadghaw fil mizan, you should exceed the boundaries of the mizan. وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ, and don't cause an imbalance in the mizan. There should be no deception, no embezzlement, no fraud, anything else. That if you're responsible, it's a mighty responsibility. Take care of it. And so this is how the Rahman expresses his fadl, by showing human beings how they need to rule and how they need to govern and how they need to live. And that's his rahmah on you. This is the Rahman who is the Rahman. So he gives you the ability to express yourself. So if there's a confrontation and there's a disagreement, then you must express it. That's also an ni'mah. But not by fighting and killing, which is tughyan. That's the tughyan. Allah taghaw fil mizan. That you'll become a dictator, or you'll become somebody who's an anarchist, doesn't listen to people, and all of that. So you must make sure that you're on the right path and you are showing people the way towards the rahmah of the Rahman, and so on. وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ, and the earth Allah has placed for all people, all creatures. Anam is a reference to anything that Allah creates, anything that is alive and moving, etc. وَالْأَرْضَ, the earth is a huge name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on the earth, Allah has now developed for you, placed for you infrastructure where it's easy for you to live on earth. He didn't say, okay, this is the earth, okay, it's rotating, it has its orbit, and he provides nothing for you. That is not the Rahman. The Rahman will provide everything for you by which you can benefit from his ni'mah. If Allah gave us a ni'mah and he didn't provide for us a means by which we benefit from it, then obviously that is not completion. That's incomplete rahmah. So Allah, in his miraculous way, always provides infrastructure and means by which you benefit from the rahmah and you benefit from the ni'mah. It's a complete package. Right? Nothing's left to any human being's imagination. So he provides you with the tools, the means, he provides you with the food, he provides you with all the different types of climates and rain and snow, wind and everything else, but that's how he has packed the earth with barakah. وَبَارَكَ فِيهَا. Allah now gave barakah into the earth, where the earth now has this immense system of the Rahman, where Allah is saying, okay, this is food, this is how you're going to eat it, this is how you're going to access the food, and so on. If you made food impossible to access, then obviously you will say that Allah hasn't provided for us, but Allah has provided for you every means by which you can access food and clothing and shelter. And this is Allah's rahmah. وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ, for anything, any creature, Allah, anyone, any species that Allah has created, Allah has always created its food and nourishment for it, and it's provided the guidance by which it will access that nourishment. Okay, that is hidayah. Okay, that's guidance, which is part of the Rahman scheme, if you want to say that. So look at this, Allah's now rahmah is now inclusive, it's comprehensive. It doesn't leave any food for thought, basically. You go there and you eat and you drink and you're happy and you live and you exist. MashaAllah. This is his expression. Wallah. فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام. On it and within it, meaning on the earth, there are now fruits that you have. Fruit that you eat as a dessert is fakiha, for enjoyment and pleasure. So you have your meal and then you have fruits on top of it. It wasn't. So he provides you the main course and he provides you with the dessert also. That is the Rahmaniyya of Allah. His hospitality is next to none. And he doesn't leave anything to your imagination. Oh, okay. Fakiha is the means of enjoyment from the word fakah, where you enjoy, mashallah, different fruits, which people should eat fruits along with their main meal. And so, but this is Allah's rahmah that He's now manifesting to you. وَالنَّخْلُ ذَاتُ الْأَكْمَامِ. And on top of that, there are now the palm trees, ذَاتُ الْأَكْمَامِ, that are covered with sheaths and so on. Okay, the covering of the date, and it's a rahmah so that other insects and other things can't go in there and eat it, and so on. But this is how. Now, even with the date tree, Allah gave you the intelligence by which you can climb and scale the tree to bring down the fruit. In other words, He didn't leave you to yourself. Meaning, Allah's rahmah is in you, in your ability to procure Allah's rahmah. That's an expression. It's a skill set, mashallah. And now you know how to cultivate the palm tree. You know how to take care of it, and you know how to access the fruit, and you know what to do with it. And you can make different types of things with the same fruit. You can have now juices, and you can take out the extract, and you can benefit from the fruit in so many different ways that He's given you that bayan in you to be able to procure Allah's ni'mah, expression. Okay. Your ability to procure the fruit, use it in different ways, is Allah's rahmah in you. You should enjoy it and see how Allah's rahmah is always operating in you all the time, and that is through teaching of the Quran, Allama al-Quran. So this is all part of the Quran system. Part of the Quran philosophy is that the Rahman gives you all the means and abilities by which you can express yourself and benefit from the expressions of the Rahman also. وَالْحَبُّ ذُو الْعَصْفِ وَالرَّيْحَانِ. And then on top of that, you're going to have now a lot of grains, a lot of seeds, hab, fodder, seeds basically. ذُو الْعَصْفِ, which is now one of husks, that you have the skin on top of the grain for protection again also. وَالرَّيْحَانِ, and sweet smelling now flowers and plants, etc. So there's a beauty to it. There's some aesthetics to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He presents something to you, it will most probably look very aesthetic and very beautiful. It'll be a pleasure to look at. Okay? It won't be something that's horrible to look at or ugly. There is some one aesthetic, which is what the word rayhan is referring to. Rayhan means sweet smelling, and so on. Anyway, so that's part of the portfolio of the Rahman, that He is now looking into every detail, every meticulous detail. He's just provided for you. This is all free, by the way. He's not charging you for it. He's not charging you for the smell of the rose. You have a nice rose, nice flower smell. Okay, how much should Allah charge? Should He monetize this ni'mah for you? Does it cost you anything? The most you can say is Alhamdulillah, at least that will be, you're thanking Allah for the ni'mah, right? The most you can say. So at least do that. So I say that the Rahmaniyya is all encompassing, and it's of value for the abstract value of teaching the Quran in the cosmos, and it's also for the very real, concrete value on earth in life, where we enjoy everything that Allah manifests and expresses His rahmah through. And then that is the key to understanding the Quran. That the Quran is an expression of Allah's now desire to communicate with His khalq, with His creation. And this is how He communicates, and this is how you see His rahmah. So that take rahmah, not just, as I said, a very diluted level. Allah is Rahman and Rahim, and there's much more to that discussion, as you can see in this surah. So the first part of the surah is now highlighting all the celestial, heavenly, terrestrial, earthly gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on earth so that human beings can live on earth and enjoy it at the same time. And some responsibility towards the world order of adl and justice, where human beings, as they enjoy Allah's rahmah, they should procure Allah's rahmah by good behavior and a good system. So they must put their thoughts together, come to terms and understand that the reason why we have khilafah is to assist Allah's rahmaniyah. It is not for a name and fame and etc. It is not to assist that Allah's rahmaniyah is expressed through His adl, through His justice, and so on. And we are custodians and we are stewards, that we are not supposed to exploit that power nor exploit that knowledge, but we should make it accessible for all human beings. And the Prophet ﷺ recited this surah. He received this surah and he recited to Sahaba. So the Sahaba would enjoy it, and then the Sahaba recited to others, and everybody else would enjoy it. And so, but it's the words there. If you go into the details of how each word is coined and how each word is now plucked, if you want to say it precisely, and this word and not that word, that's a different story of tafsir altogether. Once some of you know Arabic, inshallah, we can go there too. But now, for this, we conclude with the chorus of the surah, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So which one of the favors of your Lord, both of your Lords, do you now deny? This surah is also revealed to the jinn. The Prophet ﷺ, when he received this surah, he recited this surah to a community of jinns. And as he was reciting to the community of jinns, when they came across this ayah, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, they all in the chorus said, لَا بِأَحَدٍ مِّن نِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ نُكَذِّبُ, that we do not deny any of our Lord's favors. That's what we should say too when we hear this ayah, that we don't deny any of your favors, Ya Rabb. So Rabbikuma, two of you, meaning the ins and the jinn, both. So they are also mukhatab, addressed by the Quran. They are also mukallaf to practice the da'wah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave da'wah now to the jinn also. So that is the inclusive, which is part of the Rahmaniyah. Anyone whom Allah has assigned with taklif and makes that person responsible for their volition, they are now part of the Rahman scheme and the Rahman system, the Rahman order. We can't see them, but they can see us. So we don't mess with them, and they won't, inshallah, mess with us. Okay? They want to be hidden, and that was their pledge with Allah. Keep us hidden from the human being. So we should not do anything to bring them out. Don't go there. Yeah. Oh, I want to see a jinn. No, you don't. If you see a jinn, you'll go cuckoo, and you'll end up in the asylum where you belong. Yeah, so don't go there. Don't talk too much about them. Just let them be where they are. Okay, they are a protected species by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So don't interfere. Don't even think about going there. Oh, I want to do this. No, you don't want to do anything. Everything's fine. They're not going to bother you, inshallah. Right. So they are there, and alhamdulillah, they do live in the heavens and they do live on earth, and they do what they do. We don't know what they do, and nor do we want to know what they do either. But anyway, the surah includes them as being the participants and the recipients of Allah's Rahmaniyah. So we must have a worldview of that. You should have a worldview that they do exist. Yeah, that you don't need to infiltrate and do anything stupid. So this now فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, which one of the favors, ala, is a word which means ni'mah and favor. That is also mentioned. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تَتَمَارَى, mentioned early on in Surah Tur or Surah Najm, and that was there too. But the wording, as you see later on, the phrasing is so unique. You'd have to step down or step up, learn some Arabic, and enjoy the beauty in the words, the precision in the words that the Arabic has for us. Having a chorus in Arabic doesn't mean that you are a poet. Usually poets have choruses, rhythm and rhyme. This is the most what do you call it, poetic surah in the Quran. At least when you listen to it, everything seems very organized, very poetic, but it's not poetry. It doesn't follow every rule of what do you call it, composing poetry. It breaks certain rules. It brings in its own rules. It brings in its own style, as those who know Arabic know. This is very different from poetry. So you can't say this is poetry. But since human beings love rhythm and rhyme, they kind of gravitate towards the Surah Rahman just to enjoy it. And you should enjoy it, listen to it with pleasure, and then implement the ayat of ihsan within you. So the greatest gift is our ability to express what? Gratitude towards Allah's Rahmaniyya. Okay? So the purpose of now expression is to express gratitude, shukr, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation and His ihsan and His Rahmaniyya. So that's what we do through our ibadat, that we express our gratitude, and through our clothing, our food, architecture, we're all expressing our gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah says to Dawood alayhi salam, "I'malu ala Dawood shukra," that you should do some now deeds of shukr, O family of Dawood, and they express their shukr in so many different ways, or even in industry, even in warfare, and so on. But it has to be done with ihsan, with a certain amount of rahmaniyya, compassion also, that you want, the tools that you build must be compassionate and refined also. It mustn't be rough and difficult to administer, difficult to use. So Muslims usually have done that in the past. The tools were the best tools that money could buy. They weren't rugged and they didn't have no jagged edges. They were all very pristine and very precise. And that's the hallmark of Muslim civilization, that they saw the Surah of Rahman, and they allowed the Rahmaniyya now to seep into their lives in everything they do. So they did. And that's what we need to do also. Just open our minds to the Rahmaniyya of Allah. The Rahmaniyya of Allah is everywhere at the micro and macro level. And then we will say, فَبِيَّ عَلَىٰ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, which one of the favors of your Lord do you then deny? And we say, none. Ya Rabb, inshallah. So this is how we hope to, inshallah, inculcate the Rahmaniyya of the Rahman through this surah, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. We'll continue next time, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله.